Mr. Miliband, we read your letter to the energy companies this morning. I mean, it really does seem as if you think you are going to be the next Prime Minister.
Well, I hope so, because I want to make a difference to the British people. And as we've said at this conference, the biggest issue facing the British people is the cost of living crisis. And we think we can make a difference, in particular on energy bills, but on a whole range of other issues. It's the biggest issue facing Britain.
Well, the cost of energy is the biggest issue.
The cost of living is the biggest issue. And that's why we've seen policies this week from Labour on the bedroom tax, on energy, on how we improve our economy, on apprenticeships, for example, all part in service of creating an economy that genuinely works for working people in Britain and allows us to tackle that crisis.
Because you made the point that David Cameron's been in power for 39 months and the cost of living has gone down, or the standard of living has gone down for 38 of them. But is that his fault? I mean, wasn't that the fault of the global crash?
I think that he's contributed to it in a couple of ways. First of all, in the decisions he's made. So, for example, he's cut taxes at the top of society when he could have used some of that money to help others. He hasn't taken on some of the vested interests like the energy companies. And also his whole economic approach is about what I call a race to the bottom. He thinks the way Britain competes is lower wages, lower skills, fewer rights at work. I don't think that's the way Britain
competes. But if there's no growth, people don't get better off, do they? And the fact is there wasn't any growth for the early stages of this government.
Well, indeed. I mean, that's you make in a way the fundamental
point. Are you saying that no growth was his fault?
Well, I am certainly saying that. There was growth at the time of the general election. He choked off the recovery. He definitely did that. And that is exactly right. That is one of the major things that has contributed to the fall in living standards we've seen.
As far as the energy companies are concerned, what happens if they say, well, if that's how it's going to be, we can't afford this investment of £100 billion plus, and Britain runs out of power? How are you going to bridge the gap?
I don't think it's going to happen, and I'll tell you why. Look, this is scare stories. The real thing that shapes investment decisions in energy is the long-term framework. And what's got the attention, understandably, is the price freeze up to the beginning of 2017. But we're going to set a new long-term framework for energy. And I think it's in the interest of the companies, you see, to reset the market.
But are you actually going to make it more attractive for them to invest in energy?
I think by having, for example, a clear commitment on decarbonising energy, taking the carbon out of energy by 2030, that will actually help investment because it gives certainty to the companies. And some of the other proposals we've made will provide that certainty, the long-term certainty the market needs. I think it's in the interest of the companies themselves to actually have a new system put in place, restore public confidence, and to sort out the market.
And on the house building, Labour leaders have made big promises in the past. In government, unfortunately, they haven't delivered. If you look at the charts of house building, are you really saying you're going to confiscate land if it's not built on?
What I'm saying is we want to work with developers who want to build on land. But I think what we can't allow is developers to sit on land year after year after year with planning permission and nothing to be done about it.
So you would confiscate it?
Well, I'll just explain. So we want to give powers to local authorities to place a charge on land and ultimately, the ultimate recourse to be able to compulsorily purchase the land. Now that's the last recourse. We're going to consult on it. But it's a sign of my commitment, Adam, to tackle the housing crisis we face in this country. We just can't go on as we are with people's sons and daughters not able to rent or buy a home.
By and large, the public sector has responded well to what you had to say. Private sector, business organisations, less well. This is not a big tent strategy, is it? This is not trying to win people over in the way that New Labour did. This is trying to appeal to your core. It is, in a sense, a 35% strategy to win the election.
This is a strategy to reach out to people right across this country who are suffering from the cost of living crisis.
In that sense, it hasn't worked if you look at the reaction to the speech.
And one of the things that's pleased me most about what's happened since the speech is the reaction of small business. The Federation of Small Business recognising that finally a party is standing up for small business, saying the priority is to cut business rates as we're proposing. We want a competitive tax regime for large companies, but we should use the money that this government would spend on cutting taxes further for large businesses to bring some relief to millions of small businesses across our country. Now, that is absolutely a big tent strategy, reaching out to small businesses in the country in a way the Labour Party hasn't even done in the past.
Will Prime Minister Ed Miliband be good for big business?
Absolutely, because and big business recognises this, only by changing the way our economy works, by getting the skills that we need, by sorting out markets that don't work. Only by doing that will we actually have an economy that can be successful.
Finally, you talked about your desire for debate with David Cameron, for comparison with David Cameron. We are at the stage where the election is approaching like an oncoming train, and yet we still don't have a commitment to do the same as we did last time from any of the leaders in television debates. What's your position on that?
Well, you have my commitment that I'll do the same as we did last time. I think we need those TV debates. On energy, we're trying to freeze prices. This government, the Tories say they're going to raise prices. We've got big debates to have about energy, a whole range of other issues. I say bring on those TV debates in the general election campaign. I'm looking forward to them. I hope the Prime Minister will be there.
And Clegg?
Absolutely. Look, we had a format last time. It was good for our democracy. I obviously wasn't in them, but David Cameron and Nick Clegg were in them. I don't see why our starting point shouldn't be the same as last time. Let's have those debates.
Thank you.
Thank you.